For this tutorial you will need your selected colour yarn. The traditional colours for Houndstooth is actually black and white. I'm using black and cream, but you could use any colour that you want to, so you'll need two different colour yarns. I'm using a 5.5mm crochet hook, but you can use whichever hook it suggests on your yarn label. I actually play around with these sizes, so feel free to do that as well. You will also need some scissors and a darning needle to sew in your ends. In order to start off your project, you want to make a slip knot, and you can do this whichever way you prefer. And you are going to insert your hook and start off by chaining in multiples of 2. Now for the particular snood that I've done, I actually chained 30, and then you add one more to the end. But for this demonstration, I'm just going to do a much smaller chain. So you want to yarn over and pull through to do your chain, that's 2, and then you go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you chain until your the width of your chain is the width of the project you want to do. So go ahead and pause the video and chain your desired length, and I shall meet you back in a moment. Okay, so I've gone ahead and chained 20. I'm going to add one more chain to the end. This is for our turning chain, and we're going to start off by doing a double crochet, and this is single crochet in the US. So we're going to skip this first chain here, and then we're going to do a double into the second chain along. So insert the hook, grab the yarn, pull it through, you'll have 2 loops on the hook, and grab the yarn and pull through again. That is your double. As I say, that's single in the US. In the next chain, we are going to do a treble, which is a double in the US. So it's yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, you'll have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, you'll have 2 loops on the hook, and yarn over, pull through 2. And you're going to do this all the way along. So the next one would be a double, and your next one will be a treble. A double, and a treble. So pause the video, work your way along to the end of the chain, and I shall meet you back there to show you how to add your next colour. So I'm now at the end of my row, and I have one stitch left. I've just done a double, so that means we're ending on a treble, which is correct. So each row is going to be exactly the same. You're going to start with a double and end with a treble. But this last treble is going to be a little bit different because we're going to introduce our new colour. So you want to yarn over and insert as normal, yarn over, pull through, and yarn over, pull through. And this is where we're going to grab your other colour. So I'm going to grab my cream yarn, leave a nice long tail for now. You're going to bring the black yarn around the back and just lay it around the back for now. And then you're going to grab the cream yarn and pull that through. So it can be a little bit fiddly. Now you notice at the moment that it's very, very loose. So you just want to pull down on this slightly, and then you're going to pull on the back piece of yarn. You'll see how that tightens it up. Pinch the yarn between your fingers and then pull down on both pieces of yarn in order to tighten up that stitch. You're then going to again pinch the yarn to keep it nice and tight, and then chain 2. This will get a little bit easier the more you add. It's just because we've got those 2 pieces of loose yarn at the moment. So you flip your work round, you put the loose ends out of the way. You can actually tie those together if you want to, just to make sure they're nice and secure. And then we're going to lay this black thread along the top of the work because we're going to actually carry that over. So like I say, the first stitch is going to be a double crochet, But for this very first one, because this isn't sitting as flat as we want it to be, you want to just put that black yarn over the hook for now, and then you're going to insert your hook into that first stitch and yarn over and pull through for your double, and that means that this is now laying a little bit easier on top of your work. So the next stitch from the previous row is actually a double crochet. So in this one we actually do a treble. And in the next stitch is a treble. So in this one we do a double. So we're just working in opposites. A treble and a double. And you're going to work your way along the whole of the work. Pause the video and meet me back at the end, and I'll show you how to swap colour yarn again, and it should be a little bit easier the second time around. So I'm now at the end, and this last stitch here is where we're going to do the treble into. So you would just start as normal, and just go do half a stitch. You're going to lay that cream yarn around the back of the work and then grab your black yarn, and you're going to yarn over and pull through to finish that stitch. So you might just want to pull on that cream yarn just to tighten it up slightly, chain 2 and then turn your work. So this cream yarn then lays on top of the row that you've just done, and remember this first one can be a little bit tricky, so just put the cream yarn over the hook for now, and in that very first stitch you want to do a double crochet. So that's your double, and then that cream yarn then lays a little bit better, and then treble into the next stitch and then double into the next stitch, and that is pretty much the pattern. So it's really easy. It's exactly the same from one row to the next, and it has a really good effect to it. So if I just grab my piece that I've done here, this is actually a cowl. I shall leave the details in the description box below of how many rows I've done, but if you want to make a cowl, I'll show you how to actually join this from one side to the next. So pause the video, work as many rows as you want to, and then when you're ready I'll show you how to connect the top to the bottom. So once you've got to your desired length, you want to continue as normal for your next round, and I'm finishing on the cream because I started on a black. So you want to go ahead and turn your work, and then you're going to only chain 1 to begin with. So just chain 1. You're then going to grab the other half of your work like this, and you're going to insert your hook into the first chain from that first round. So just insert your hook, and then you're going to grab the yarn and pull it through for a slip stitch. So that just connects the front, the top to the bottom. So you're going to do your treble as normal into your first double stitch from the previous row. Then you're going to insert your hook into the gap. So you'll find that on the original row there'll be a stitch, a gap, a stitch, a gap. So we're going to work into this gap. So insert your hook into there, and then insert your hook into the top of the treble from the previous row, just as you would normally, and then do a double stitch. Might be a bit tricky to pull it through all the loops on the hook, but just give it a wiggle and then that will pull it through. Then you would do your treble into the next stitch as normal, insert your hook into the gap, and then do your double crochet into the next stitch, so pull it through. So you'll have the 2 loops on the hook, but you'll have a a black stitch in between. So grab the yarn and pull it through all of those loops on the hook, and then a treble into the next stitch as normal. And you just want to continue in this way all the way along, making sure that you're working into the correct stitches. Can be a little bit tricky. It does help if you're actually working on a tabletop as you're doing this, just to support your work. But work your way along and meet me back at the end and I shall show you how to finish off. So I'm just at the end now and I'm going to insert my hook into the very last stitch, and then I'm going to insert my hook into the last stitch of this row, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through all the loops, and then I'm going to yarn over and pull through again, grab my scissors and snip off, and then all I have to do is weave in that thread into the work. You'll also need to snip off and tie in this end, and once you've done that, that is your houndstooth scarf and your houndstooth pattern. I really hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below for any future tutorials you'd like me to do. Thank you so much for watching and I shall see you again next time. Bye!